You think you could fool JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks on the planet? Charlie Javice did it with a spreadsheet. In 2020, one JP Morgan Chase paid $175 million to acquire a student financial aid startup called Frank. The pitch was irresistible. Frank claimed to have over 4 million student users. That is a massive pool of young customers that JP Morgan desperately wanted access to. The idea behind Frank was simple. College students struggle with financial aid paperwork. Frank would simplify the FAFSA process and connect students with scholarships. It was a real product solving a real problem. Charlie Javice founded Frank and quickly became a media darling. She was named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. She spoke at conferences, she had investors, she had the narrative of a young visionary disrupting education, finance. When JP Morgan came knocking, the deal looked like a dream. The bank gets millions of college-age customers they can market banking products to for decades. Javice gets a $175 million acquisition price, plus a managing director role inside JP Morgan. JP Morgan did their due diligence, they asked for user data, they ran the numbers, and everything checked out, at least that is what they thought. Let me put it differently. Everything checked out because the data was designed to check out. Frank did not have 4.25 million users. It had fewer than 300,000. The gap is staggering. Over 93% of the user base was fiction. According to federal prosecutors, Javice hired a data science professor named Olivier Amar and paid him $18,000 to create a synthetic data set. Millions of fake student names, fake emails, fake phone numbers, all generated to look real enough to survive a due diligence review. She then provided this fabricated list directly to JP Morgan as part of the acquisition process. The bank used that data to justify the $175 million price tag. They were paying for users that did not exist. The data was purchased on the open market at a fraction of what JP Morgan paid to acquire the whole company. Javice essentially bought a cheap list and resold it as a billion-dollar asset. After the acquisition closed, Javice collected more than $22 million in pay, stock options, and performance bonuses. She worked as a managing director at JP Morgan for roughly a year before cracks started appearing. JP Morgan tried to leverage those 4 million users for marketing campaigns. They sent emails, they ran outreach, and the response rate was devastating. Emails bounced, numbers disconnected. The bank was marketing to ghosts. Internal auditors at JP Morgan began a deeper investigation into the Frank data. What they found was damning. The user records were synthetic. The growth metrics were fabricated. The entire foundation of the acquisition was a lie. If you are finding this one hard to believe, join the community and subscribe. This story gets even wilder. In late 2022, JP Morgan sued Javice for fraud. Then the federal government brought criminal charges. The indictment laid out a systematic pattern of deception from fabricated data to forged representations during the merger process. Her co-conspirator, Olivier Amar, the data scientist who built the fake list, pleaded guilty and cooperated with federal prosecutors. His testimony became a cornerstone of the government case against Javice. In March 2025, a federal jury found Charlie Javice guilty on all counts: securities fraud, wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy. The verdict took less than a day. In September 2025, she was sentenced to 85 months in federal prison, just over 7 years. The judge also ordered her to forfeit more than $22 million in illegally obtained compensation. Here is what stays with me. JP Morgan has some of the best due diligence teams in global finance. And a founder in her 20s with an $18,000 spreadsheet beat them all. That is either a testament to her audacity or a brutal indictment of how acquisitions actually work. The lesson is simple. Verify the data, because 4 million users on a spreadsheet can be worth exactly 0. What red flag would you have caught first? Tell me in the comments.